So that's Adobe for you. And you know, every time I look at something like that, and I was telling Noor standing there, just the energy is so palpable. And in addition to the energy, for me, it personally opens up a whole new respect, reverence, if I could call it, for the creative community all across. So let me start. Firstly, heartiest congratulations, Noor, Anurag, here he walks in, and the entire Businessworld community for what I would call probably something akin to the Holy Grail, which is the BW Marketing Whitebook that you're launching this evening. So heartiest congratulations, and it's a pleasure to be here, guys. You know, I wanted to start actually by talking about a vacation. I'm still slightly groggy. Came back a couple of days back, still slightly groggy, like I said, jet-lagged. But a couple of experiences that stood out for me in this longish vacation, one of the longer ones that we've done in a long time with the family. So the high point was that from the time we started planning, in fact, till the time we actually finally landed back into India, we had gone over a couple of continents, to say the least, and there was not a single piece of paper that we had carried with us or printed other than the money and the passports. So nothing else was, everything else was done on the mobile, on our phones, and you know, we used Make My Trip for flights this time, and that was an awesome experience. Just in case there's anyone from Make My Trip in this room, that was an absolutely awesome experience, especially with their new loyalty program. I forget what they call it. So, you know, everything else was a combination of Airbnbs and hotel bookings, and our boarding passes, including the kids, were on their mobiles, on their mobile phones, and it was so ubiquitous, it was so simple. It actually got us to think that this is the era, this is the age that we are living in, which is the era of experiences. And then again, for me personally, I'm a big, it's going to sound odd, but I'm a big Harry Potter fan. So one of the big things on our task list was to actually go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at the Universal Studios while we were in Hollywood. Have any of you been there? Can I have a show of hands? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. So you will align and identify more with what I'm going to say. You know, we wanted to do something called the Forbidden Kingdom ride, which was so awesome, right? So the whole immersive experience for us started long before the ride in actuality. In fact, from the time we entered this castle that you see, we started the whole experience of what the Harry Potter world was giving us, the ride was giving us. And thereafter, of course, it was, it seemed as if we were flying on broomsticks and on enchanted benches, you know, flying over trees, falling over cliffs, and of course, hurtling over cliffs, if I could call it that, flying over this castle. And for good measure, they had those dragons spitting fire that were actually trailing us, and I'm sure you will remember it, those of you who've seen it. What an awesome experience. One of the finest that I've had in a long, long time, guys. It got me thinking. So whether it is a vacation like this or a Harry Potter ride or, you know, even the birth of maybe your firstborn, and for the first time you hold that baby in your arms, what happens is over the years we forget about a lot of the detail to the event or to the experience. But what stays with us is just the experience, just the awesomeness of that experience. And those experiences then transcend into what I call memories, fond memories. And the way memories work is that it's a full circle. They once again want to seek or search for similar experiences all around you. So it is these experiences that actually influence who we are, what we do, where we spend our money, who we actually are loyal to, which brands we are loyal to. It's all these experiences that actually you know, dictate for us in our lifetimes. And come to think of it, you know, at least for me, and I think for a lot of us, we still seek the music that gets us back to yesteryears, that makes us feel younger, or gets us back to the young days. We wear clothes that make us more confident. We buy cars that make us look so much better or feel so much better. Essentially, what we are doing is we are searching for these phenomenal experiences at any given moment. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the experience era. So, we've all seen what was the back office era of ERP systems. We've seen the front office era of CRM systems, and we are now in the middle of what we call at Adobe the experience era. So experiences are dictating everything today, all around us, and experiences matter more than ever. And we are living in a world, or at the cusp of what I call the art and the science, the magic and the math, right, all around us. And come to think of it, the finest of products or solutions or experiences today are actually being created at the cusp of, there's a breakdown of fields of discipline, the way we knew it. So the best solutions and experiences that you see today are in an amalgamation or at the periphery of design and art and neural networks and data sciences. And that's how you come up with the best and the finest of experiences today. So it's all about art and science. It's all about math and magic. It's all about content and data. And with content and data, if you look at digital experiences and you start breaking up what digital experiences are made of, they're made of content and they're made of data. Content which is mesmerizing, beautiful, amazing content like you saw in the opening AV, right? And that then gets amalgamated to data. So it's both the realm of the right and the left brainers as we know it. It gets amalgamated or optimized with data in real time or near real time, thereby rendering to us in the digital world, in the online world, those experiences which are so fantastic. And if I was to look at the world of marketeers, and I believe there are some really kick-ass marketeers in this room, if I could say that. If you look at the world of marketeers, it's still a world of art and science. It's still a world of math and magic. So the marketeer has always been responsible for creating the brand. And in addition, Sundar, my friend here who heads our marketing, has always been responsible for generating pipeline to actually help grow the business. So on one side there's art, and on the other side there's science. So you find today there is a huge jostling of the magic and math in the world of the marketeer for the attention of the marketeer. And the great part today is that everywhere we are realizing, businesses are realizing, individuals are realizing that people today are no longer buying products. They're all buying experiences. And this is a fundamental truth. And I guess most of us have come to terms with this some time back. And what that means for all of you, what that means for brands and organizations, is that you need to now actually win and vie for the hearts and minds of your consumers. So at any given moment, any given click, irrespective of which channel, which device, which form factor, what you need to do is vie for the hearts and minds of your consumers. And if you can do that, fantastic. You're going to deliver the world's most amazing experiences for them. And what I say very often is, every single business, agnostic of which industry segment, where you are, which geography, which locale, every single business today needs to have a subscription mindset. And what I mean by that is that you can have your consumers drop off and cancel at any given moment with every click. You can have them renew, you can have them grow your relationship or their relationship with you as a brand. So the mindset that you need in today's era, especially when everyone is buying experiences, is some kind of a subscription mindset. And there are brands all around us, both in India and globally, and I won't get into naming them, who've cracked this extremely well, who've understood this, that it is the experience that matters, and that's the holy grail, the holy mecca for them. And if I was to just mention Coke for a second, so it's no longer about that iconic beverage that we grew up with, right? It's all about the amazing brand or the beloved brand that Coke has become for its customers. And of course, in the journey, on the wayside, as they move, they will acquire a lot of customers and they'll keep growing. So that's the success mantra in today's age. Okay, so key tenets of an experience, and we are all consumers in this room. We are all customers, so there's no rocket science here. But yet I thought, let me go through what is it that makes up an experience? What is it that the consumer of today wants in terms of the experience? So one, of course, is know me and respect me. Each one of us wants that from the brand, irrespective, like I said, where exactly we come and touch a brand, whichever channel it is, we want to be known, we want to be respected. Now the change here that we are seeing over the last few months and last few years is the knowing part is easy because of the humongous amount of data that's available. However, the respect part is something that the consumer is getting more and more wary of, demanding of, and getting frustrated if they are not being respected enough. And what I mean by that is it's easy to serve personalized experiences to the consumer today. But how do you serve personalized experiences that are not frustrating, that are not repetitive? How do you target or retarget them so that it's not a pain for the consumer, and yet it's something that they revere and respect? So that's where the respect part comes in. Speak in one voice, of course, is easier said than done, and I admit to it, and it's something that we are solving and grappling for a lot of our customers, which is what Adobe does. Given the n number of communication channels and form factors that you have, it's very difficult to have a similar messaging across every channel, right? It's getting more and more difficult. It's getting more and more difficult for the brands and the organizations and the businesses to actually fathom that it's the same profile, it's the same consumer that you're dealing with. So no magic to it, but the only way to solve it is to break down those immense number of data silos in your organizations, guys. Break them down, solve for the integration backend, create the unified profile, which is the Makkah and the Holy Grail, like I said, and that's when you can actually start getting onto the blueprint of what an experienced business looks like. Make technology transparent, I'll give it a pass. It's simple, delight me at every turn. The delight factor is getting more and more demanding everywhere, and we are seeing it come up, and frankly, a lot of brands and a lot of organizations across the globe and in India are starting to delight their customers often enough and in a good manner. My only advice to them is sometimes we tend to do it for, we will delight our customers that once a year or twice a year kind of an activity that they come into. So try and see what are the mundane, repetitive tasks that the consumer of today is coming to your brand for, and see how you can actually convert those into a delight factor. And I think you'll be hugely successful. So if I was to summarize what are the tenets of experience in today's experience era, I guess every consumer in terms of experience is looking for a high-tech and a high-touch experience. The consumers of today are wanting a dialogue. They're wanting a two-way communication with the brand, and not just what we were used to in the past. So that's the way I would summarize what the tenets of an experience are today. So I'm going to say this twice. So make experience, and making experience is good for your business. Making experience your business is good for your business, right? And I'll give you a few seconds to look at the stats. So this is the math of why becoming an experienced business is critical for you today. So there was this study that Adobe conducted with Forrester Consulting, and you've got the numbers in front of you. So the way we did it was the experienced laggards and the experienced leaders. So the experienced leaders were the ones who understood that experiences are critical and that every business needs to become an experienced business, right? And the laggards were the ones that were still not investing enough. And this was the difference that we found on any single metric, whether you look at brand awareness, revenues, customer sat, employee sat, return on ad spend, every single thing went up when the realization struck that it's all about experiences today. Every business is an experience business. I, of course, was actually going through this data, and I couldn't fathom cause or effect. So when I looked at employee satisfaction and customer retention, customer satisfaction rates, and then revenue, I was wondering which one leads to the other, right? So is it happy employees that then get you happier customers and more business, or is it vice versa? Anyway, it's not something that I've solved, but so that's the math of why every business needs to actually become an experience business. And now that we have what I would call the business case, and we've understood that at the center of everything that your consumer wants today is the experience. Everything that the consumer demands today, as we saw, is an ubiquitous, simplified, beautiful, magical, mesmerizing experience. So I would urge all of you, just in case some of you are the experienced laggards, to actually put experiences at the center point of your businesses, to raise it high on your innovation agendas, and actually come and start sorting out how to become an experienced business. And some time ago, it was the mandate of a marketeer or someone designated in an organization who was responsible for customer experience. Today, if you look at it, it's It's the grail for everyone, CEO downwards, sometimes even the board. They talk about customer experience. So whether you're a CDO or a CMO or a CIO or any other fancy buzzwords that have come about these days, and we see a lot of them, customer experience and experiences is actually all across the organization, right? And it's so well embedded. So now that, like I said, we've got the business case clear, so how do we go about doing it, right? So how do you actually convert your organizations, your brands into becoming an experience business? Easier said than done, and I'm now going to spend the next 1 hour explaining to you about the building blocks and the architecture that is involved in becoming an experience business. And I'm sure a lot of you at the back, right at the back of the room, are not able to even decipher what's written here. So not to worry, I won't spend 1 hour, I'll spend just 2 minutes, but very simply, and let me go back. So, you've got the experience layer, and I'll keep this simple. In 2 minutes, I said, you've got the experience layer, you've got the analytics layer. Experience layer is what actually your touch points with the customer. The analytic layer is the analytic engine, the BI systems, etc. And then, more important, you've got a systems of record. Okay, and I'll talk about the systems of record and what we mean by it in order to become the architecture, the building blocks of technology to become an experience business. So, we saw the back office age, like I said, this age of ERPs. We had the SOR then. We had the age of customer, of CRMs, front office age. It had its own system of record. However, and not surprisingly, today's age or experience businesses cannot use the same system of record that was used in that age, obviously. So there's something new, which Adobe terms as the experience system of record, which becomes more and more critical for you to actually adopt in today's age, which is what actually gets you, to become an experience business. And what I mean by that is, it essentially means you need to have a unified profile at the base of your systems, a unified customer profile, and then you merge it with content and data, like I said, the art and science, and that's how you get the experience system of record. So those are the building blocks and architecture of how you want to become an experience business, and a lot of these are no-brainers, so I'll spend just a minute on it, but you need to get your tools right, you need to get the tech right, you need to get the technology right. So needless to say, invest in a platform, not a tool, a platform that permits you to fail fast. And what I mean by this, very simply, is the pace at which disruption is happening all around us, and we see it every day. The pace at which organizations are having to get back to the drawing board, getting back and seeing and reinventing themselves is extremely fast-paced, right? So in an environment like this, when perhaps the biggest threat that organizations or industry segments face today is probably the threat of that next new startup out of some corner of the world, or maybe out of a garage in Noida, that comes up and actually annihilates or obliterates entire industries. So in an environment like that, it's critical for you not to invest just in tools which are siloed and which don't integrate, but to invest in an entire platform which allows you to fail, which allows you to test waters time and again. Remain future ready. Please put in all your buzzwords that you keep hearing, whether it's artificial intelligence, deep learning, everything. Your systems where you're investing, please ensure that you invest in stuff that is going to take you into the next generation, that's going to take you, and the next generation, and I was with students yesterday, and I'll talk about it, to me is 5 to 7 years. That's the generation gap that I'm seeing with my 2 siblings, with my 2 children. And of course, don't give your data away. It would be silly and stupid to give your data away in an environment like this, in times like this, because that in itself is your biggest asset. And so I'm at the end, and I typically end because of all the passion and optimism, and I'm often called a patriot. I always end with India, right? And I always end with what India means to us and the driving force in India. So undoubtedly, we are at a very, very exciting phase, overall in the world today. We are at the cusp of what I call or we are at the, perhaps we can term it at the dawn of the 21st century renaissance. We are at the cusp of something big happening all around us. And yet, very often when you look at India, we find this energy, we find a palpable energy in India which is stronger and faster and more happening than anywhere else in the world. And what is it that actually gets us, what is it that differentiates us? What is it that contributes to what I call the attractiveness of India? And I'm not going to go into a bhashan there, but there are certain things that are no-brainers, right? So first is the India of 2018, there is a plethora of opportunities all around us, anywhere you look at it. So whether you look at your, take any metric, smartphone penetration, internet users, broadband speeds, increased digital ad spends, look at anything in today's age, and you find that there's so much of work that's been done in each of those areas, and yet, when you look at the headroom available, it's mind-boggling, which is that gets organizations like Adobe's and Google's and all of you sitting in this room so gung-ho, so excited about it, the India story. Because not only do we have so much of headroom, combine this today with the fact that we continue to remain the oldest civilization, but the youngest nation. So we are the largest population in the world of digital natives and what I term very frequently as screenagers. And can you imagine what happens if that generation of screenagers, once they come into the workforce, combine it with the headroom available and see the potency that India offers? Second, of course, and we see this up close by virtue of what we do at Adobe. So other than the creativity that we foster and we help reimagine creativity, we are working with most of you and most of the organizations in your digital transformation journeys as you hop onto the digital bandwagons. And what we are seeing, and something that's personally very, very impressive to me, is that Indians today and Indian businesses have realized that experiences are critical. They have realized that experiences can actually, truly become a sustainable competitive advantage for them, which is absolutely amazing because it's going to help you leapfrog very quickly into the next realm and cut down any gaps that we have from some of the global conglomerates whom we compete with. And lastly, of course, there is this relentless energy, I call it palpable energy, or there is this relentless energy in India everywhere today. There is this urge to become one of the finest, to come and claim what I call our, which is our logical position globally. And I see this energy, I see this everywhere. I see this in audiences like this. I see this in organizations and corporates, irrespective of whether you're a telco or an e-commerce engine or an airline. Everywhere you have this palpable energy that comes up and this urge to become the best at what you do. I was with one of the ministers the other day, the skill building minister, and the kind of work we are doing to upskill and reskill some of our people is absolutely amazing. It's tough, it's a daunting task, yet I think the vision and everything is great. And yesterday I was with students. So the other extreme, I was in, part of the Atal Innovation Mission. They have the ATLs. So I was actually mentoring a school in one of the Delhi schools. And I was so amazed, guys. I was so amazed at the intellect. And these are class 7 to 10 students. The intellect, the innovative capabilities, the kind of inventions they had come up with. And this school had a robotics lab, and they had this ATL where the government had pushed in a lot of money, helping to build what I call the Startup India. But just the hunger and the zeal that was there in those students, the appetite to do something, even at the age of 15 and 16, at least for me personally, when I was growing up, there was none of that. So that's the new India. That's the new India. And what I would urge all of you as I end is, whether you're within your organizations or individually, in this experience age, in this digital age, see how you can help India grow to the next level. See how we can become and attain our logical position in the world. So with that, whether you're a marketer or a technologist or a data scientist or a brand ambassador, or if I could just call you experience makers, all of you. So thank you very much. Thanks for your patient hearing. And as you hop onto the experience bandwagon, be conscious, and I hope you have a great time with your businesses. Thanks a lot.